A 24-year-old man carved a woman turning into a tree, while she flees from a god who is touching her, and he did it in stone. Marble thinned to where it should break, and it doesn't. Stay, because this will change how you look at classical art forever. This is in the Borghese Gallery in Rome. It has been there for 400 years, and most people who stand in front of it don't understand what they are actually looking at. Cardinal Scipione Borghese, the Pope's nephew, the most powerful man in Rome after the pontiff. His villa, the center of Roman social life. Pope Urban VIII, the one who would later write the moral. He who loves and pursues the pleasures of fleeting beauty will fill his hands with leaves and gather bitter berries. A moral warning at the base to justify a cardinal keeping this in his private villa. Nobody believed it, but nobody said anything, because the sculptor was young and already the best in Europe. Bernini chose the myth of Apollo and Daphne. He started carving it at 24. Look slowly. Start with the hands. The fingers are no longer fingers. They are branches. The marble thins to the point where it should shatter, and it doesn't. Every leaf has veins. Every vein was carved by a man with a chisel, not molded, not cast, not copied, carved. One strike at a time, one mistake away from ruin. Now the hair. It starts as human hair at the nape. It ends as foliage at the tips. There is no exact point where the change happens. Bernini didn't mark it. He left it ambiguous. On purpose. Your eye keeps searching for the border, the last strand of hair, the first leaf, but it never finds it. The transformation has no edge. The feet no longer touch the ground as feet. They are taking root. The bark rises up the ankles. It wraps the calves, competing with skin. But the most disturbing thing is not any of this. It is the skin. Stone should not be able to do this. Stone should be stone, hard, cold, dead, and yet somehow, this feels alive. In the same centimeter of marble live two things, the softness of a human body and the roughness of tree bark, the same stone being two things at once, human and tree, flesh and bark, escape and loss. There is something strange about this sculpture. If you look at Daphne's face expecting terror, you don't find it. She is not screaming. She is not begging. She is not asking for help. She seems to be understanding something happening too fast to accept. Not that she is dying, not even that she is changing. That in a few seconds there will be nothing left to save, no body to protect, no voice to hear, no self to return to. I am disappearing. And then you look at Apollo. Most artists would have shown the triumph, the capture, the possession, the victory. Bernini didn't. Apollo doesn't look happy either. He looks horrified, because desire imagines possession. Reality rarely survives it. The moment he touches her, she is already gone. He just got exactly what he wanted, and in that same instant, he loses it. Apollo's hand wraps around Daphne's waist, and exactly where he touches her, the transformation begins. The bark appears. The roots are born. The leaves open, as if escaping him and becoming something else were the same act. There are situations from which the body can flee, and there are situations from which it cannot. When there is no physical way out, the mind tries something else. It distances itself. It disconnects. It becomes a stranger to itself. Centuries later, psychology gave it names: dissociation, depersonalization, traumatic response. The moment the mind decides that staying present hurts more than leaving, not leaving the room, leaving yourself, becoming distant, numb, untouchable. Bernini knew none of those words, but he sculpted the feeling perfectly. How did a sculptor so young understand something so dark about desire that refuses a no? 400 years watching a woman turn into something else to escape a man incapable of accepting rejection. A story from ancient myth, and a story that never really became ancient. The disturbing thing is that Bernini understood that story too well. But Bernini was not only the sculptor. Years later, he fell in love with Costanza Bonarelli. She was the wife of one of his assistants. They had a relationship for years. When Bernini discovered that Costanza was also seeing his brother Luigi, he refused to lose her. He sent a servant to slash her face, not in a moment of war, not in self-defense, not by accident, because he could not bear being left behind. The man who had sculpted Daphne's perfect escape could not accept a real one. The scandal was enormous. The Pope intervened. Bernini paid a fine. Costanza was imprisoned. The victim went to prison. The attacker paid a fine. Power did what power often does. It protected itself. History remembered his genius. History almost forgot her name. We know the shape of the marble he carved. We barely remember the face he tried to destroy. Talent outweighed morality. 400 years talking about the technique, the marble, the leaves, the roots, the transformation. And perhaps that was not the real story. Perhaps Bernini did not sculpt a woman turning into a tree. Perhaps he sculpted the exact moment someone understands that the only way to escape is to stop being who you were. The tragedy is not that Daphne becomes a tree. The tragedy is that becoming a tree feels safer than staying human. Because not every prison has walls. Not every wound leaves a scar. And not every transformation is a choice. Some people run away. Others change forever. And sometimes, that change begins long before anyone can see it.